Now, if you're fed up with education in this country, why not stop moaning and set up a school of your own? That's the theory behind the government's new free schools. You spot a need, put together a plan, and if the minister likes it, he'll pay. We've one free school opening in Bristol this September, and 2 groups in Frome want to set them up there. Ruth Bradley went to meet them.
The talk in the park is about what's best for their children, especially when it comes to education. By the time these toddlers from Frome reach school age, there could be a lot more choice about where they go.
What we must see now is a system of independent state schools, underpinned by fair admissions and fair funding, where teachers are equipped and enabled to drive improvement, driven by the aspirations of parents. We are sweeping away the bureaucracy which stands in the way of new school creation, with reform of planning laws and building regulations.
The government wants parents to take on buildings like these and turn them into free schools. This is an old hospital. It shut 2 years ago, and some children who were born here could end up being taught here.
Beautiful park.
Yeah. This group of parents wants to use the hospital to open a Steiner school. It would be a state school, paid for by the government, for up to 640 children from 4 to 16 years old.
The moment that the free school policy was announced, we leapt on it because we've been thinking, planning and dreaming about this for years.
They've now got to get the government on board with those plans and dreams. The application's in.
Back on track.
And if everything goes right, they could open their school by September next year.
Wow.
Across the West Country, there's a shortage of primary places, but only 2 groups want to start free schools in Somerset, and they're within a mile of each other.
There are lots and lots of people in Frome who like to take things into their own hand and create what they think is good. So it's not surprising that there are 2 groups of people in Frome trying to create schools. I think it's, wow, what a town, really.
The other free school would have its roots in the forest, with young children beginning their education in the great outdoors.
You can learn a lot from just being outside. You're going to observe things. It's going to provoke questions in you, isn't it? Just being outside. Why is that tree different to that tree? And why are those flowers come out at a different time? And why is that caterpillar only on that plant and not on that plant? So I believe it develops an inquisitiveness that will then pass on into learning. So
this kind of unconventional teaching's part of the freedom of free schools.
It's a green spider.
They don't need to have qualified teachers or follow the national curriculum. These children could be the first to try out the vision of a local teacher who wants to see children of all ages learning together.
I sat up in bed one morning and thought, my gosh, there's a building just over the road where I'd love to start up a new school in. The inspiration initially was the fact that we live in a cul-de-sac. It's a beautiful old 18th century cul-de-sac. And the kids play out all day in mixed age groups. And they help each other out, look after each other, teach each other, and there's so much teaching goes on between the kids.
Free schools are controversial. The National Union of Teachers says they won't be accountable and could threaten other state schools. This might be at the extreme end of what the coalition government had in mind with their free school policy, but this group of parents have gone to the trouble of filling in a long form, and the 2 applications from Frome are the only ones for the whole of Somerset. So it might be that this flagship policy ends up playing out in one small Somerset town.
Well, still with me is the Labour peer Jan Royal, and I'm also joined by Claire Bradford. Now, she is chair of the Bristol Secondary Heads Association. Well, we just saw the film there. The parents are enthused, the kids look happy. Is there a problem with free schools?
I don't know the details about that situation in Frome. I think there is if there are areas where there aren't sufficient school places, then of course you've got to sympathise with parents who want a school for their children. In Bristol, that isn't the case. The free school that's being established in Bristol is in spite of the fact that there are actually there's a surplus of places across the secondary sector, and so for me that is an issue. And
well, that presumably is because parents don't want to send their children there?
There are a number of reasons. One is an historical reason, because people have sent their children out of the city, because nobody's going to deny that secondary education in Bristol has been a problem, but that's quite a time ago, actually, and the leaps forward have been significant.
Well, Jan Royal, Labour started this, didn't it, when it started with these academies? This is just an extension of that, so why would you object?
I think free schools are very different from academies, and I don't object to free schools per se, but I think they're a bit gimmicky, quite frankly, and I worry about the impact that these schools are going to have on other schools in the area, because they're taking kids away from the area, they're perhaps making schools less mixed, and I worry about the money. Where is the money coming from? We keep asking the government,
But it was Labour who said it's the end of the bog standard comprehensive. The comprehensive,
yes.
Labour said the comprehensive didn't work, really.
We said that some comprehensive didn't work. That's why we introduced academies in the poorest and most disadvantaged areas. What the Conservative-led coalition is doing is they want every school to become either an academy or a free school, and then you have a sort of free-for-all market for schools. You have no role for local government. You have no proper planning. Who's going to provide the safety net? There's so many questions to be answered.
When you talk about, you talked about Bristol, let's just talk about Bristol as an example, because you're the head of Henbury School. Now, you've done wonders there. I think you've doubled the GCSE results.
Tripled.
I was never good at maths. Well done for that. But still, 60% of your pupils are leaving without 5 GCSEs, including maths and English.
That's right.
So if you don't perform, why should parents go there? Why shouldn't they go to the free school?
Because they do perform, actually. If I can make it clear, the percentage of children getting 5 good GCSEs, including English and maths, 6 years ago, was 13%, which was completely unacceptable. Last year, 39%, and the predictions are for that to continue, and that for next year it will be over 50%. But actually, what counts is the progress that children make while they are in the school. And we have a very mixed intake, and children, both with learning difficulties at one end and the most able children, make better than the average national average.
If parents don't want to go there, they want to go to the free school, why is that a problem for you?
Well, I think that's a very good question, because what I've said to parents is, what is it that any parent, I'm a parent, wants for their child? You want good, skilled, qualified teachers, I would say, great resources, and a place where you know that children are going to make good progress. Your child's going to be challenged and make good progress. Now, all of those things are available not only at Henbury, but at other schools in Bristol.
You haven't convinced the parents, have you? Jan, you're itching to come in, aren't you?
I am, just to say that the whole idea of free schools was born in Sweden, and people in Sweden now are saying, well, actually, if you look at our experiment, you find that there's increased segregation and decreased improvement in schools, but not just social mix, decreased improvement in pupils' attainment. This experiment has not worked in Sweden, so why are we introducing it now?
Having said that, you are a grammar school girl, aren't you? Forest of Dean Grammar. You had a privileged education, and look where you are now, right at the very top of our establishment.
Absolutely. But
a lot of parents would say we're being deprived that.
I visit loads of schools all the time, including schools in the Forest of Dean, where they really raise the attainment levels of the kids, the aspiration of the kids. They are excellent, comprehensive schools in the Forest of Dean now, and many other areas in this country.
We have to leave it there because we're out of time, but thank you both very much indeed.